look through the data since 1999 till today as to how the spread out has been. The last time we had slightly over 1 million people registered to vote was sometime in 1999. Every other one, it has been lesser. But the average, in terms of analytics, the average voter turnout has been ranging between 30 to 40%. The highest was, I think, 70-something% in 2010, the time the return of Ayo Fayose as a then. But let's put it in context. That's 70-something%. The registered voters, I think, was about 400 and something thousand, or less than 500.
And then the entire votes, distribution to all candidates will be lesser than that 400,000.
Close to 400,000. So,
and as against perhaps at that time 900,000 registered voters.
No, the registered voters was actually slightly, I think, over 500,000.
Oh, at that time?
Yes. So, as elections come, more people register, more people come in, and they update this register through CVR. But there's another data that is quite interesting to me. Great people like IAGA Africa and the CSOs, our partners, did occupational category of the people that actually registered for this election. And the highest category, the category with the highest number of registered voters are students. 394,733 registered voters are students. And that's a point that the second category, I think, should be traders, because they wrote here trading. 152,660 registered voters, then closely followed by artisans, which is slightly over 100,000, farming and fishing, which is slightly over 100,000. So civil servants and public servants. Okay, I missed one here. 113,000 for business people. There's a number there, 113,000. I think that should be the third position. So you have students, traders, and business people. For politicians, this data is super important to know how they will canvass for vote. But the window to campaign is over, guys. So the people of Ekiti, if you're watching, we're here to make sure we are in your state to bring Nigerians and the rest of the world to your state to cover and report what exactly is playing out. The decision eventually is in your hands. So all you can do is as simple as going out of your house, cast your ballot, and hope for the best. That is the only civic responsibility you have. Bukola.
Interesting demography there, and that tells us that the deciders of this election, if they come out en masse, would be the student population at over 300,000, 394,000 to be precise, 394,733, and that is followed distantly by the trading community in Ekiti, which is put at 152,660. So it'll be interesting to see, when the elections eventually begin, the queues, who are those that dominates the queues on election day today. But let's go to another data, which looks at registered voter growth, or if you like, voter progression. And it starts from 2018. 2018, the number of registered voters at that time was 909,585. And I believe that was the year that former Governor Ayo Fayose went against former Governor himself, Kayode Fayemi. Was that the year that Mr. Fayose returned to
what year was that?
Ekiti, 2018. If you could quickly clarify.
That should be his return. I think his return was 2010.
2014?
No, yes. I'll get the right data. But I know where you're going to with that data.
Yeah.
But we're trying to look at how because in 2018, Kayode Fayemi won the election. He had resigned from his position as minister to come back
to return.
To return.
Okay, so Ayo Fayose's return was
around 2014. Yes, around 2014.
So the registered voters at that time was 909,585.
Yes.
2022, there was an increase, of course, to 988,923, and that was an 8.72 increase from 2018. And in 2026, of course, you know the data. Here's a reminder, 1,059,360. And that's a 7.2% increase from 2022.
Another part that I am particularly concerned about, I'm always particularly concerned about voter turnout. Because voter turnout is not just numbers. It speaks to people's passion in carrying out their civic responsibility. It speaks to the fact that whether people believe that their votes count. So when we look at all of the data available to us, when we do analytics as far as election is concerned, one of the biggest highlights of any election data is voter turnout. When it's low, it speaks volume. And the underlying thing about that volume it speaks to is whether the people still trust that their votes count, or whether they're impressed that the government is performing or not performing, or they are just despondent, not just interested in any civic responsibility. They've abandoned it to the politician, which is why whenever we come to cover elections, we plead that no matter how you feel, no matter how disgruntled, no matter how angry you are, there is only one legitimate way to get somebody or people who are not performing out of office and bring the people you want to perform for you into office is via election. Staying out, not participating, is not going to help anybody. It's just going to give room for us to perpetuate what we complain about, where we have sometimes the worst of us leading the best and the rest of us. So, voter turnout pattern, we have here 2014. It was 50.3%. 2018, it was 44.36%, because I can see the deceleration.
Yes, and in 2022, it was 36.5%. That's a regression, not a progression. 2023, it went lower to 24%. So what would it be in 2026? And so
2022 should be maybe a presidential election.
Besides the charge,
the 2023 is a presidential election.
Yeah,
because we'll try to cover that election year, but the other ones are mostly
governorship elections.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is another test of commitment to the electoral process on the part of the citizens now, not the politicians. So what would it be? Would it be a regression or a progression? Would we have higher voter turnout? But beyond this being a test of the passion of the people and their participation in the electoral process, it is also a charge on them to shun every form of vote buying. I mean, there's a slogan that is, that speaks to the philosophy, or if you like, the understanding of the people, or the disposition of the people towards the electoral process, and it is Diboko Sebe. That's vote and then cook a pot of soup. But if that is done, then they might as well have lost, that vote, because in the next 4 years, what would it then be like? Would it be an increase of your, the standard of living, your, a level playing ground for the achievements of your aspirations as, individuals, economically and in every other wise? And so if the people can just decide that this election will be different, that there would be minimal or in fact an elimination of that element of vote buying, then we're moving forward towards political maturity in our democracy.
Well, now that the audience can follow what we've been talking about, the data, so you can see that graph there at the bottom. So if you're not comfortable with numbers, all of the numbers, but you can just see the distribution, the turnout of voters from 2014 to remember 2023 is actually presidential election. The first three is actually governorship election. You can see how it is coming down. So will this election take that graph up, or it will go down further? Well, that decision, that
lies in your hand,
is in the hands of the people of Ekiti State, who are distributed across 16 local government areas, will stand across 2,445 polling units across 177 wards of the state. So that decision is your exclusive preserve. The verdict is yours. So we appeal to the people of Ekiti State, come out en masse and vote. And Bukola, I was looking through numbers and data. Ekiti State, since 1999, from the best of my knowledge, hasn't had a governor re-elected successively. So will this be a different one, or it will continue? So no governor has won the re-election
two terms
back to back. People have left, come back. Fayose left, came back. Fayemi left, came back. Some of the other ones did one term, Shegoni, and the rest of them
and they didn't return.
And they didn't return.
So if the incumbent is re-elected, he will be the first since our democratic history in Ekiti
Since 1999.
Yes.
And since the creation of the state, apparently.
In Ekiti State, let's be specific.
Yes,
to be re-elected.
Twice.
Yes, twice.
So just like the issue in the Niger Delta, for instance. Sorry, I try to bring this for comparative analytics. The first person, the first Ijaw man to be re-elected as governor of a state is Seriake Dixon. The second is Doye Diri. Every other Ijaw distribution in Nigeria, across the Niger Delta, including the incumbent in River State, has not been fortunate to be re-elected, not even getting the ticket. But we're talking politics, we're talking election. We're on ground across the state to bring you up to speed with what is playing out. We have a lot more data to share with you as far as this election is concerned. So be guaranteed. Remember, the polling units will open at about 8:30, where people will start casting their ballots. We're going to walk you through how this works. There are several provisions in the Electoral Act. Remember, Section 60, subsection 3, the electronic transmission of results that divided the nation as to whether there should be a provisor or shouldn't be a provisor. This election is the first test, and that's why Yaga Africa, Channels TV, all our partners, we've brought out our technology called the ERAD, Electronic Result Analysis Dashboard 2.0, to say if INEC is ready, we are ready. So you're going to be seeing the result in real time. We're not going to announce the result, but you're seeing how each political party is performing in real time. We pick that data from IREV, we punch it in, and the data is computed, and you see it going back and forth, depending on what is being filed in. How quickly this election will end, I do not know. Anambra was impressive in terms of the speed with which results were announced. And Anambra is bigger in terms of everything: population, wards, LGA's polling unit. And by 8 a.m. on Sunday or so, the results, we already knew who the winner was, because the Electoral Commission had made an announcement. How quickly will people vote today? How peaceful is it going to be? Is there going to be vote buying? Will IREF perform in terms of electronic transmission of results? A lot is on the shoulders of Joash Amukutan, who is the chairman of INEC, and how quickly the results will be announced. We will be watching, seeing,
and it will be a test of that Section 60, that divided the nation amid the amendment of Electoral Act 2026. So what would we see, especially now that we're deploying ERAD at the dashboard, for you to see, how the results are coming through? We will not announce as part of our commitment and, abiding by election rules on election day, but you would see as they come. So for those areas where there is delay, then we'll be paying attention to those areas, to those local governments, to be precise, where results are taking their time to come through. And I believe the candidates and their agents will be keeping their eyes on those particular local governments as well, such that we ensure that it is as transparent as possible, or we demand transparency where people try to be funny, or mischievous and want to rig the process. And this speaks to the need for Ekiti residents to defend their votes, to come out en masse, stand by their vote. And we're talking about the declining rate of voter turnout. These are the issues that, determine whether people will come out en masse to cast their ballot, to exercise their franchise or not. It's been proven through much of election cycles that when there is violence, when there is vote rigging, where there is ballot box snatching, the people have a perception that the election has already been decided, hence there is no need for them to come out anyways. And even when they come out, when there is voter inducement, then they say, this is the little commonwealth that I can take, and just take it and vote and go.
Yeah, our eyes are everywhere. Now, the action is not right here between me and Bukola. Our job is just to speak English and cover this event. The action is in Ekiti. So let's show you some of the things we're already seeing
Yeah.
happening right now, real time, right now in Ekiti State. So the early preparations. So you can see people right there, Bukola. So you know what this is. The voter register already posted. So this is the first place you go to when you are participating in an election generally. If your name is not on that screen, on that board, then you likely not vote in that particular polling unit. The polling unit officer, the polling officer, will be able to know how to assist you. But I can see the INEC officials at that particular polling unit are doing their work, pasting the voter register on the board. People are coming to check their names, check their picture, to confirm which of the polling unit they will be voting, because it's captured in their voter card. And you know, the beauty of the BVAS, the bimodal voter accreditation system, which we call BVAS, is that you cannot vote for anybody. If you don't show up, you will not be captured. As a matter of fact, you have to be accredited electronically. So first you go there, do all of this, checking names, and then you approach where you are directed to come and do your accreditation. Your fingers or your eyes are used. That's why it's called bimodal, to accredit you and determine whether or not that's the right place for you to vote. And if you're all cleared, well, you're given the ballot to approach and cast your ballot. It's an open secret. When you do that, you cast your ballot, you stand aside and wait. And remember, let's also tell the voters, Bukola, that it's in the law that the INEC official, at the end of the exercise in that polling unit, must announce the result and must transmit the result electronically, especially when there's network
access to transmit as possible, you know, as much as it is possible for it to be transmitted. If you know that in your polling unit there is a strong enough internet network for your elections to be, the election result to be transmitted, then you demand that the results are transmitted electronically. They are uploaded.
Yes. Whether or not there's network, it must be captured, whether there's network or not, because the way the BVAS works, the only component of the BVAS that requires internet service is a transmission. Capturing it is not part of the requirement. Accreditation doesn't require electronic internet service. They can accredit you without internet service. So when the results are finally counted,
I'm talking about the transmission component.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because if you tell them if there's network, no, capture it, whether there's network.
I'm talking about the transmission component, the results. Yes. So for it to be moved from that particular device to the IREF portal, if there is connectivity in your area, then you should demand that it should be transmitted, because that is part of protecting your votes and ensuring that your vote indeed counts, whoever it is you're voting for.
I think the most important thing is to tell them to capture it, because transmission will be automatic. As soon as you capture it, it's gone. If there's network, there's no network, it will be hovering until there is a network. So for me, my candid advice to the people is make sure that result is captured. Make sure that result is captured, because automatically, you know the way this technology, I like the way people who design this tech, they know what can happen. They envisage the possibility of shenanigans, and they decide to say, okay, I don't want to hear the excuse that there was no network or there was network. Just capture the thing first.
But I like what I'm seeing now. Maybe it could even be better, but if we compared this with the data that has been provided to us by Yaga Africa, then we see potentially a healthy turnout of voters. And let's go to that data now, as against the number of people coming out now ahead of voting time to determine that their names are on the voters register displayed. Yes. So we see here that in Moba, you have 99%, Jeffrey, 99.8% PVCs collected.
Yes.
That's nearly 100%. You see from Ikere, you have 98.1% PVCs collected. And the next local government here is Ijeru. In Ijeru, 98%. And the next here is Ekiti West. Ekiti West has 97%. Ekiti East has 97%. And the next local government is Ileje Meje, which also has 97%. And here you have Irepo Odun, Ifelo Odun, which also has 97%. Ayekire has 97%. The next is Idosi, which also has 97%. You have Ekiti Southwest, which has 97% as well. Ikole has 97%. Emure has 96%. Ado Ekiti, which of course is one of the largest local governments, and those swing local governments, has 96%. Efon has 96%. Oye has 96%, and Iseorun has 96% as well. So you have over 90% collection rate of PVC. So we should see that, unless the people just collect it. You know, we have a passion for identity cards and identity documents in this country. So unless the people went to collect their PVCs just to have it, you know, in case they require documentation. But if it is to be used on election day today, then we should see, you know, a healthy turnout matching what we're seeing right now. In fact, what we're seeing right now should even be better if we have, you know, this rate of collection of PVC.
You know, there are border towns, there are towns within the inland areas and all of that. From the data available, usually collection is always very impressive, always very impressive. Look at the 2023 presidential general election. We had over 93 million registered voters. How many came out to decide who becomes our president of our country? Barely, measly 20-something percent of the registered voters. So we're going to be pumping you with a lot, or bringing you with sharing a lot of data with you, so that you understand exactly what we're dealing with. Election is driven by numbers, so you cannot do anything without numbers. We'll keep sharing these numbers. Our correspondent, political editor, will be coming in a moment from now. He's on ground with other correspondent. Kumbi is there, Tokwe is there, several other persons are there as well to cover this election. Our backroom guys are also there to make sure that you have a fantastic time watching and reporting all of this. But maybe we'll take a very short break, and when we'll be back and bring you more on this. Stay with us.
Welcome to Art House. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Coming up on today's episode of the program.
It's time to discover, connect, and be inspired on Art House, where creativity knows no bounds. Dive into the heart of Nigeria by exploring its rich tapestry of arts and culture. Stories, creative, colorful, and vibrant on Art House. And remember, art is not just what we create, it's who we are. On Art House, life is art.
The day begins with news gathering and research.
We need to confirm the story. Directors,
as well as policymakers.
From the business districts to the corporate, the policies, actions, and even inactions of both the fiscal and the monetary authorities make impact.
90% of Nigeria's economy is in the informal sector, just like this market. And take, for example, they're impacted by government policies like inflation rates. Prices keep going up.
While trading is fast and mostly virtual, get the top stories that set your investing agenda.
Beyond Africa, we got you covered. It's a full menu for you every weekday. Business Morning and Business Incorporated, only on Channels Television.
Know what's happening across Nigeria's various regions on Channels Television's Newsroom series. Every Monday, we bring you stories from the Southwest. And on Tuesday, The Northwest is our focus. We're in the South-South for midweek reports on Wednesday. And later in the week, the North Central takes center stage. The Southeast gets the spotlight on Fridays. And we close out the week with the Northeast on Saturday. Watch Newsroom Series, 3 p.m., Monday to Saturday, only on Channels Television. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser. Or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television. Ubiquitous.
Are you ready for the thrill, the grit, and the glory? Feel the energy.
This is where legends are born. Every game, every match, every moment.
Witness the passion.
From the court to the track, into the stadium, everywhere in between, we've got you covered.
Celebrate the journey.
It's not just sports, it's life in motion.
This is where every sport comes alive. Your all-access pass to the world of sports. At these times, only on Channels Television. You've seen the news, you've heard their stories.
As I see the World Cup going 2 months, I told my family to just go out.
The climate crisis is here and getting much closer.
Rice, they're just dry.
So let's look at the solutions and the way forward at these times on Earth 5.
In every show, we bring you closer to the fastest growing movie industry in the world. From the making to the premiere. Get up close and personal with the stars and industry captains, plus reviews and much more. Nollywood Uncut, every week at these times.
Despite early morning downpour that slowed activities in part of Ekiti, the state capital is gradually coming alive as residents go about their normal businesses on the eve of the governorship election. With political campaigns concluded and attention now focused on the ballot, electoral officials, security agencies, and election observers are making final preparations for the poll. The resident electoral commissioner in Ekiti State, Bumi Omosendemi, speaks to Channels Television and gives assurances to voters that INEC has put all necessary logistics in place for the smooth conduct of the election.
INEC conducts free, fair election. Is it not by people coming out and coming to exercise their franchise? If you come to the polling booth, nobody is going to send you away. You will vote and you'll be there when the vote is counted. Openness. But people must change their mindset and know and trust the process. People don't believe in themselves. They start believing and trust the process. How do we do credible election? You will be there, you'll be accredited, you will turn or you give you ballot paper, Abi? Your ballot paper after the election, they will sort it out, and you will count in front of the party agents, and it will be uploaded. So how much transparency do we talk about?
He says electoral materials have been deployed promptly, while collaboration with security agencies under the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security is expected to guarantee a peaceful exercise. As INEC goes on with its own plans, election observers continue to assess the pre-election environment. The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, a coalition of more than 70 civil society organizations observing the election, gives the observation of the atmosphere across the state. Another coalition of observers under the European Union support has raised concerns over reports of voter inducement, political intimidation, and the spread of disinformation in some parts of the state.
We call on political parties and candidates to condemn all acts of vote trading and vote buying in all its forms, shun the use of thuggery, refrain from spreading fake news, misinformation, and disinformation.
To the security agencies, we expect you to maintain neutrality and professionalism at all times by protecting the electoral process and stakeholders.
For many residents, expectations are high as they prepare to head to the polls.
I believe all I will ask the DG, we should be calm. We should not make any trouble. But God will see us through for the elections.
As Ekiti voters prepare to elect their next governor, the mood of the state is largely peaceful, with stakeholders expressing optimism that this Saturday's election will reflect the will of the people. From Ado Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, Eyitope Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
Welcome to our continued coverage of Ekiti People Decide 2026, where they will choose who leads them as governor in the next 4 years. Will they keep the job of the incumbent, or they'll seek someone else to do that job? Well, our guys are on ground. Our reporters, our editors are all on ground to ensure that they bring us up to speed with what's playing out in Ekiti State. But let's come back right here to the studio, and we have our guest, Wahab Shitu, is a senior advocate of Nigeria. He joins us in our Lagos studios. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, Nigerians.
I know we brought you here for all the legalese, but I would like your opening comments on terms of expectations, in terms of what you, from what you've garnered so far, as far as this election is concerned. State that was created in 1999 till now, they've had, I think, about 5 governors and different cycles of election. They are one of the off-cycle election. But the most important thing is that this is the first election that will be conducted, the governorship election that will be conducted under the Electoral Act 2026 that was amended from 2022. How would you want to open, sir?
Well, the real test for the Electoral Act 2026 is this election. When people discuss Electoral Act 2026, the focus erroneously is that it will manifest, or the real test will be the 2027 election. No. You recall that the Electoral Act 2026 came into force in February, it was signed into law this year. And so this is the real test, not just the rehearsal for the future. This is the time we will see whether indeed the Electoral Act 2026 means what it says in terms of whether the law will just be a paper tiger or it will be enforced. Anybody will tell you who has studied the Electoral Act closely, as I've done. Incidentally, it was the subject of, conversation. They recently concluded Odua conference, which held at Ilefe, and it was rounded up yesterday. Whether the Electoral 2026 is capable of delivering on political stability. That's the thrust of the discussion. And this is the retest. Now, the Electoral 2026, all agreed, is a very good law. It's very comprehensive. The provisions are detailed, but it will require more than a trinity of institutional courage. A trinity of institutional courage. For it to be effective in practice, INEC must be prepared to enforce its provisions. The courts too must play their parts. And then the voters, everybody must play to get the law itself cannot enforce itself. So it will require Nigerians to be vigilant, to be determined, to make it work. And this is the retest. The first retest here, after this one election in August, we'll be talking of Osun election. So this is the litmus test of this, the practicability of the Electoral Act 2026 to deliver on its assigned mandate. I believe that the Nigerians would use this opportunity, the Ekiti people, the voter, will use this opportunity, all players, including the security agencies, will use this opportunity of this Ekiti election to really walk the talk so that Nigerians can take benefit of a credible poll, free, fair, and peaceful poll that will reflect the will of the Ekiti people. The security agencies must be neutral. I mean neutral, really neutral, in ensuring that, and then the voters too must not sell their conscience. As much as possible, we don't want to see incidents of vote buying. There are about 6 concerns that have, highlighted, and I think we should take particular note of these 6 concerns. The first thing is that between the polling units and the collation center, we used to have a lot of magic in times past. And this has been the subject of litigation in times past. Results are announced, a figure is announced in the polling unit, and somehow it changes when it gets to the collation center. Now, that gap has been bridged by the Electoral Act now. By the beavers, and then even the real-time transmission, embedded in the new Electoral Act. So that gap, for it to be effective, for also not to see that incidence, people, the presiding officer must announce the result of the polling unit quickly as it is uploaded, and then the voters must be, must be vigilant to ensure that the figure announced actually reflects on the beavers, and where the figure reflects, then it is safe. But if it does not reflect, then that there's concern, and people can then raise alert. The second one concern is, I've mentioned that before, vote buying. Now the penalty is very serious, 10 years ban for any aspirant or anyone caught trading in voters' cars and all that. Again, security interest. And there are 2 areas here. Our security agencies must protect the voters, and they must not scare voters away. And then we should also ensure that the fourth is access. Materials must get to the polling unit, respective polling unit on time. If materials do not get on time, that's disenfranchisement, by logistics. So you should, and this is responsibility. Is bestowed on our neck to ensure, and luckily, by virtue of the new Electoral Act, there is guaranteed pre-election fundings, 60 days before the election. They have access to forms. Again, voters turnout. Ekiti people must ensure they come out en masse to vote. This is the time for them to, freely elect a governor of their choice. They should not stay indoors. They should not shy away from the process. That way, they will not be helping because of democracy. Again, this law, the Electoral Act 2026, like I've said before, is a good law. But we must, all the institutions involved must be ready to enforce the provisions. Those who violate them must be prosecuted. We don't want to see cases of people engaged in vote buying being left off the hook after the camera has turned off. We should walk the talk and ensure that there is a prosecution of violators of the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act is a serious and well-crafted law. But beyond that, this Ekiti election will then, tell us clearly whether it means what it says.
So let's look at some other sections of the Electoral Act 2026 that also forms a part of the process that we should be looking at. Well, that would be when elections have been concluded, and that is Section 65. Section 65 says the Commission shall have the power to, within 7 days, review the declaration and return where it receives report from its officials and is satisfied that a declaration or return may have been made. And there are other conditions provided there. A says under duress, or B, knowingly and willfully contrary to procedures prescribed under Section 62, subsection 4, subsection 8 of the Act. Now, you say it's a good document, but this is not satisfactory to other stakeholders in the electoral process who say that this is enormous powers given to INEC to determine if it is satisfied. What if the other candidates are not satisfied with the return that has been made by the returning officer? I'd like you to speak to what the implications of this portion of the law may be for the Ekiti election and these other elections when results have been decided and there is contention.
Well, if you say if INEC is satisfied, that is a subjective standard.
Is what the law says.
Yes, I'm saying that. I'm just trying to do some kind of analysis, and because it's a subjective standard, people may be quick to say, "Oh, it is open to some kind of manipulation." But I think the starting point for Nigerians across board, across political parties, is to have faith in our institutions, particularly on INEC. I particularly have a lot of faith in the leadership of this current INEC. Professor Amukuto, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, led INEC. I want to believe will deliver on his mandate to the satisfaction of Nigerians. That's my optimism. I'm very optimistic. I don't think we should approach the provisions you have just read out, and even the assignment, the larger assignment of INEC, with pessimism. We should not be pessimistic about the process or about the outcome. I think Nigerians must invest faith. Laws are good on paper, but for us to be able to get the results that we desire, we must first of all invest faith in the process. Invest faith in INEC leadership to deliver a credible poll. Invest faith in the security agencies that they will be neutral. Invest faith in the leadership of political parties that they would play according to the rules, and that the voters themselves will know that it is about their collective destiny. All right. And that they should not trade this away on the altar of opportunism or some cash and carry kind of democracy.
And the president did indeed say that in his Democracy Day speech that the electoral process works when the people have trust in the process, to support what you have said.
Without trying to, I think the president appears to be a Democrat. I use the word appears adversedly because until he has to walk the talk, he has to prove that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if you ask me, I want to believe that
let's say we're going to come back.
He will live up to expectations.
We're going to come back to you.
two-way street.
We're going to come back to you in a moment, but let's touch base with Ekiti. Our political editor, Sheon Kumbale, is standing by. I'm not sure where he's standing or where he is, but I'm sure he's at Doe. Sheon, good morning, and let's hand this over to you to do what you know and love to do. What exactly is where I can see it's a very sunny day. It's not. There's no rain. But I know you may be sweating under what you're wearing. But it's all fine. It's what we do for the for the service of our nation. So good morning.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning, Bukola. I wish you guys are on this side. Perhaps you can get a feeling of what is going on here in Ekiti. We are actually here at a St. Michael's School in Olusosun, in the mobile area of Ekiti. We are right in the center of the city, Ekiti. Don't forget that Ekiti has one of the largest registered voters, and it's got a very good percentage of collection of PVC, and this means something that a lot of activities that you will see in this election, most of it you will also find here in Ekiti. We are just behind us is polling unit 001 of the Ado-Ejibo RA. This is also a rack center for this polling area. And this is one of, in this area we have 2 polling units, one just across me and one behind me. But let's take a look at what is happening, and I salute your guests who have been giving us perspective to what this election means, not only to the people of Ekiti State, but to Nigeria, for our electoral process, our electoral law, and our nation. I'm being joined by the lead partner at PACAC and also a member of the board of Yaga Africa, Chief Ezenwa Nwagu. Thank you so much, Ezenwa, for coming on channel.
We're back to this center again.
You remember 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
Right here at this spot.
Yes, absolutely. And that's interesting. And things are picking up again.
Absolutely.
I'm sure very soon your cameras will start rolling.
Absolutely. And of course, on my right is Bukola Idowu, who is the Executive Director of King Park Development Initiative. Thanks so much, Bukola, for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here again, after 4 years.
4 years, absolutely. But gentlemen, let's look at the figures. What the numbers are telling us. 4.2 million people in Ekiti State. That's what the population figures are telling us. 16 local government areas, and we have 177 registration areas, 2,444 polling units, and PVC collection rate of 97.1, and we have 106 rack, of which this place is 1. But give me a sense of what you see generally, Ezenwa. Early starts, see people queuing up. It's not 8 a.m. yet.
It is interesting because this is going against the run of mill and the kind of perception that the Ekiti election had come with. It was looking as if by this time you see people just in trinkles strolling in. But it's exciting that more people. But you know, with the statistics we are reading now, Ekiti is unique because everybody here is Ekiti. It's either you hear Ishe Ekiti or Ye Ekiti. Everybody. So these are almost the same kind of people. And I think they are passionate about this election. I think they would disappoint a lot of naysayers. The way I look at it, they may disappoint a lot of people who think that they are not going to show up. But if this is a good indication of what you see, Ekiti might just be a model for what a good election might be eventually.
But the statistics have shown that there is a bad trend in voter turnout. From 2014 to 2018 was about over 50% voter turnout. In 2018, it went to about 47%. In 2022, it went down to about 37%. And in the last general election, it was even off. It was 20-something%, less than 30% voter turnout. But I don't easily get swayed by the number I see in a polling unit until the final figure comes up.
Yeah.
But Bukola, from what you see, from the feeler you get as an observer, what do you think is good? What do you expect? What is your,
you are right with that statistic. Why we have increase in number of registered voter, it keep going up. And don't forget, just recently, this election, Ekiti have crossed that mark of 1 million registered voter. Now going to this election, they have 1,059,000. registered voter. But again, if you go back, like the data you just talked about, turnout has also been nosediving. Now, but however, it is too early. When you see the queue behind us this time, I mean, it's encouraging. But I also agree it is too early to actually say, the turnout is massive. But our expectation is that the turnout should also be increased. So, because if you also look at the governorship election in 2022, that was about 36% or thereabout. Then when we come to the general election, for the president, it later came down to around 24%. So what it means today is that we expect that these will go up. Looking at even the environment in terms of security, we don't actually see anything that could impede, the coming out of the people. So, but we expect that the turnout in this election should be encouraging. But it's too early to also say now that, it's going to be massive.
Bukola, we can't be talking about massive, but if you remember, city centers come in trickles. Yeah. But this morning, it does seem that there is some differentness in what we have seen. So that gives some optimism in terms of what we expect. But it's a sociological situation. We'll wait and see how it goes.
Right. And the interesting...
Because it's also city center.
Yes.
There are other local governments, 16 local governments.
Absolutely. Historically, this polling unit has recorded so many incidents, and this will be my fourth or so coverage in this very point, covering election right here from this point on election day. That means for almost 16 years, 4 elections back to back. But if you look at your clock, we're getting to the top of the hour, the very critical moment where the poll will be opening. And what we are going to do for you right here on Channels Television is to give you a very front seat in the activities that is happening right here. That is the hour and the moment when the election will begin and the polls will open. And you can see people right here behind me getting queued up. But the exercise begins actually from that point. You first and foremost go and check your name on the register. Once you check your name on the register, then you go there to go and find out what exactly it means for you. So you see people queuing up and checking their names on the register. You need to first confirm whether or not you are able to vote here. If your name is not on that register, it means that the beavers will not have your record. But ladies and gentlemen, with just few seconds to the opening of the ballot, this is like the ringing of the bell on the stock exchange. It means a lot to the people of Ekiti. Now, the polls are opened. It's 8 o'clock. Maybe we can take you right into the moment where these will begin, when the polls the poll officials will begin to allow the voters to begin. Bukola, this is the moment we have been waiting for. 8 a.m. officially, by law, by INEC guidance, this is when the exercise should begin.
It was like a year ago, we started counting months. Now we are in the seconds, and not just in the seconds, we are in the moment. Yeah. And I think this is a good moment for the people of Ekiti State to reinforce that for which they are known for. It's a state of, they call themselves a state of honor. And so it must be an honorable moment for them to show the world that they can be peaceful, that they can conduct themselves in that way that can signify that real maturity for our democracy has happened in Ekiti. And we're excited about it. I am particularly excited about it because those 16 years you talked about, Shehu, those 16 clean years, we did it together in this very moment. Bukola, the poll is opening.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm actually looking forward to see the first voter cast his ballot.
Absolutely.
And one of the things we also need to talk about is the atmosphere here, this is not tense at all, and it shows that, look, things are in order, and we want to see that. The process matters, and at the end of the day, we want to be able to say we have a very good process and credible election. But when you look at it, we are all looking forward to see the first voter cast his ballot.
Gentlemen, give me a moment. Let me take our viewers up close. Come with me. So I will allow you to see for yourself just how this begins. It will be good for you to have a sense of how this will all start. This is going to be the beginning of the ballot, and the voters are already waiting in queue, and you will see the announcement from the official indicating the beginning of the exercise. We're supposed to start at 8 a.m., isn't it?
Yes, 8:30.
8:30?
8:30, yes.
Oh, that's the time you're waiting for? 8:30?
Yes.
And so everybody is ready?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you...
8:30, we are going to address them.
At 8:30?
Yes, that we are starting.
At 8:30?
Yes.
So it's going to be accreditation, simultaneous accreditation, and voting?
Exactly.
All right. Great. So we will be back at 8:30, since that is the time you want to commence. Thank you very much. So they said they will begin at 8:30, but what exactly we are hoping and waiting for is whether or not these gentlemen and women, old and young, who have been waiting, their patience will not thin out. But again, what it means is that they've been waiting for this day for the last 4 years in this state, and whether or not that patience and that waiting will count, they say they have to wait for till 8:30 before they begin. So let's see what happens. But generally, you see people queuing up. These people have been standing for the last 30 minutes or more. A lot of them have arrived here since, and they're still on the queue. What do you think this means?
Well, the early callers are passionate. There are people who are committed to the process for different reasons. We may not know, but whatever it is good sign that there are people who still, when we talk about dwindling interest in elections and democracy, this is a good pointer to the fact that there are still good chunk of people who are excited, who want to cast their votes, and like I said, for different reasons. But maybe at another forum, we can then begin to investigate
how this means. Yeah. But then generally, the atmosphere, the waiting, the conduct of the voters here, and you can see a lot of them have been voting here for years. Yeah. And they're back here today. There's a lot of review that has been done to the voter register from the general election to the last CVR, and now they're coming here just as though they're going to a worship center, meeting once again to make a decision that will be very crucial for the progress of the state.
Yes, absolutely. I think you mentioned that some of them have been here for like 30 minutes. In fact, some people have been here for like 45 minutes, and they have been on this queue. Now, if you look at it again, the sun is actually coming out now, and they are still on the queue. You can't see that they are looking as if they are getting fed up about the whole thing. You see the enthusiasm, and that is one thing that is encouraging. Now, it means a lot to them. It means a lot to them for different reasons, like he rightly pointed out. But the most important thing is that, look, these people are aware that they are going to cast their votes at 8:30. But for them to also still be here at this time, knowing fully well that they still have the laxity between now till 2 o'clock to actually come and vote, it also shows what we are seeing in terms of encouragement of the voters actually coming out. But if you ask me, one of the things that also make this possible is this relaxed atmosphere that we can actually feel here. You know, there are some elections you can actually be touching the tension in the air and say, look, what exactly is going on here? And but what we have seen, everything is still going on peacefully, and then people are moving. And in fact, the people you are seeing on the queue, if you still look at the multitude here, checking their name, is actually encouraging. And this is just one side. Look at the queue on the other side too. It's very, very encouraging that people can turn out this early. And then we still expect them to keep coming, of course, in trinkles till 2 o'clock. You know, the last voter going to vote at 2 o'clock. So these are some of the things that we see that early pointer to maybe a good election.
As far as this polling unit is concerned, if all goes exactly as it's looking right now, because I've seen situations where election will start on a very good note at a polling unit. At 11 a.m., things go awry, and you just wonder, it started, everything was looking good, but what really is going on?
Well, the unpredictability of the process is part of why we are watching. Otherwise, we won't be here watching, you won't see security. It is because the nature of human beings changes. But what is exciting to me is to see people living with disability, somebody on wheelchair, also waiting, an aged man, they provided a seat for him where you went to earlier. That gives you some good feeling, that is inclusive, and there's a way in which we are taking care of everyone, who is involved in this process. But as to things changing, I can almost say with some level of certainty that it's going to continue the way it's going, because the morning will give you a signal of how the day will go, as we say in our own climate. Yeah. And the morning is looking good. I just hope that is what it is in Ileje-Meje, that's what it is in Emure and all the Ikere and all of those places. But very soon we'll find out, because we're also going to be doing
because we've been talking about the hotspot. Yeah. These places are hotspot. They are not tagged hotspot for nothing. They're tagged hotspot because of the kind of activities and the incident that could erupt from those places. And we've identified places like Moba. We've identified places like Ekole as hotspot. But you did the mapping about how sensitive these areas will be in terms of voter awareness, voter activities, voter engagement. What exactly do you predict for these places?
So basically, our prediction around the hotspot area in those places, most especially Moba, Ikole, and those Oye axis, is that in terms of, there are about two predictions there in terms of violence, criminal activity violence, and then the other one is in terms of operational lapses due to insecurity too. However, the reason for this prediction and the reason for coming up with hotspot is that if you allow me to call it a prophecy, that should not happen. So because the idea is they should do something about it. In terms of deployment, deploy more in this area, gather intelligence in this area, need this thing at the board before they start. And that is the whole essence. So this money now is for us to assess that, look, these places have been identified as hotspots. Now, what have you done? What is going on there now? To avert most of those things? Now, it means that if anything still go ahead to happen in that particular place, it means that we did nothing with the early warning. And that is not what we want. Every election, for different reasons, people have different interests. And every election, you will always have one or two places you call hotspot. For instance, no matter how a candidate is popular and you think you can predict that, this election is going one way and one slide. But there are also locations that traditionally for years, they always vote in a particular pattern. And then, is there anything going to change that particular pattern in the election? They don't mind losing, but they still vote in a particular pattern. That become an hotspot. So what it means is that you have to look at most of those places, provide adequate security, so that whenever you say, this place is hotspot, the good thing is that doesn't happen. And I am happy that even some of the hotspots on the program yesterday, colleague Samson was brought out. We came out with the similar thing, and then the commissioner in charge of this election, Shogule, also came out with the same thing. Then when we have three different institutions talking about same place and things still go ahead in that same place, then what are the security agencies doing about that? It shows they did nothing. But we are happy, we are watching, and that, like he said, which is absolutely spot on, that is why we are here, because things can go wrong anytime, and that is why we are watching, not only watching, to also escalate and say, hey, we notice something is going wrong here, we need to move in, you need to move in and do something about it. And that is the beauty of observation, that is the beauty of election, and I think we need to look at that, closely in this election.
There's a lot of historical history that comes from Ekiti State. You will have heard about Fabumi of Okemesi. You will have heard about Ewi. You would have heard about Ugidegbe Agbogunboro. In fact, historically, we understand that Wole Soyinka's got paternal roots in what we now know as Ekiti State. We know about the Adekunle Fajuyi. We know about Baba Afe Babalola. We know Kayode Fayemi. We know the likes of Niyi Osunlare, Akin Magunje, Babs Fafunwa. These are people. These are the people that have been produced by this place presently called Ekiti State. Historically and politically speaking, they stood for something in the First, Second Republic, and even before independence. They are very brave people. They are courageous people. They are very educated. On almost household you go now, you find a professor in Ekiti. Well, do you think this means something for the people of Ekiti State in the manner in which they vote, in the manner in which they relate to political and electoral activities?
Well, he's known to be an enlightened, civilized environment because of the number, like you say, it's called the land of professors, but that doesn't come into, elections. Election has its own dynamics, completely new dynamics. I know you are bringing your theater arts background to the whole thing in terms of, but beyond all of that, you would see that what then happens with elections is that it is a play of interests. And interest has no reckoning for whether you are a professor. At the end of the day, it's about power. It's about what that power is going to be used for. And the ordinary people, who outnumber the professors, have a stake also. They have deep interest in what's going on in Ekiti State.
The queue is getting
bigger and bigger.
What we're seeing now is that it does look like there's a different queue for women and a different queue for men.
For yes, absolutely. I think they changed that. That was why you had that uproar at some point there. But getting back to what Bukola was saying, you would find out that in elections, seriously speaking, everywhere is a hotspot.
Yeah.
Because it's a shifting process. You can think that Ado will be peaceful, and then you find out that the place that you think will be peaceful is actually where. So there needs to be much more alertness, generally, state of alertness, professionalism among the security agencies. Because sometimes also, if you look at the places where we have attached, this the prediction. I don't want to call it prophecy. The prediction that you gave, you find out that there are places with huge voting strength, and so sometimes when you put that tag on it, you are also creating a siege mentality that will make the people to say, since they have said this place is going to be violent, and politicians like that, they enjoy it. So we need to be a bit nuanced also in how we create that so that it does not advantage, people who don't want people to come out and cast their vote. And I think that is important to point out.
But I also want to say something about the Ekiti, in terms of their in terms of the elite. We need to now ask, and I agree with him, just to reinforce that point, that look, the nobleness of the noble, does that translate into the election? Because election is a totally different terrain. And my concern, because let me speak to data now. In the last three elections, 2014 governorship election, 2018, and 2022, now Ado Ekiti sustain and maintain a higher number of registered voters. But in the time of after the election, when you look at the data in terms of actual turnout, Ilejemeje turnout is more than Ado Ekiti. So does that tell us that, look, the elites have considered this election to another set of people? Do they participate? And why you have a lot of educated people, professors here, now are they participating? It's another conversation we need to look at.
They're analyzing.
So, yeah, to look at.
I won't stop talking about the prominent people that have come out of this state. Yeah. The Wale Olanipekuns of this world, the Justice Ayo Salamis of this world, the Shadia Adus of this world, the globally acclaimed, the Akim Olajuwon of this world. I mean, these are prominent people, and when we're standing on this soil, we remember the effort people who are prominent have made in making a name from them.
Why don't you want to call Oshoku?
Yes,
it's the land of Adebayo. Yes, the Adebayo. So why you not?
Yes, I mean, these are being former leaders. Yes, they're known for one thing or the other, and it means something. They are followers, and anywhere you go around the world, you will find a footprint of an Ekiti person. Is always there. They've made their mark, not only in education but in several aspects of life. But if you look at what is going on...
But do you know that it's remained agrarian?
Yeah, very agrarian.
It's still, in spite of the number of professors that you see, in terms of all, largely speaking, is still very agrarian. The land of Ikogos. This is
Ikogos,
and the Gosis and all the rest of them. So the point for election is, like Bukola just said, it has nothing to do with... In fact, the more enlightened people are, the less they participate. They'll be holding their phones, watching Shehu Kimbalo and talking and saying what he didn't say right. And then the people are on the queue. You can see them. Yeah. If you take a scan here now, you are not going to find the professors on this queue. They are going to stroll in at about 11, hoping that everywhere is clear for them. They don't. But these people are passionate and they need to be rewarded. The people have to reward the sacrifice, the commitment of this mass of people who always make this democracy.
Because they are the real pillars of our democratic structure. They are the real pillars of our democracy.
If you ask me, the best way to reward these people is to make their votes count.
Yeah.
And that is just the best reward they could have.
Absolutely.
Much more than making their vote count.
Governance.
It is about governance. Because election is a process. I mean, it's not an end in itself. We are doing this so that we can elect people who can reward them with good roads, better hospitals, better schools, healthcare. Those are the things. Provide agricultural inputs for them. If after all of this sacrifice, all of that doesn't happen, then the whole commitment to this process fails into insignificance.
By the way, let's say that the official time actually is 8:30 a.m. for the commencement of voting. But we've been seeing some interesting pictures coming from the queue. But there are other places where you did not see. And there are a lot of activities. There are bystanders. There are people who are going to make money from here. Let me perhaps show our viewers some of those people. If Theophilus can come with me. Let me show our viewers the other part of these. There is a young man who is selling soft drink, and for those who want to. And these are the people that you may not notice, but they are also here. They are part of the process, not exactly the official process. But the young man has come out early in the morning to ply his trade and make some cash for himself. Yeah, there are people who need cold drinks and cold water, and you can see the elderly people who are keen up. This is another polling unit, different from the one right on this other side. And I told you earlier about those who are checking for their names right on the register, because this is very key. You've got to be able to check your name, identify what your number is on the register. Once you identify what your number is on the register, it allows you to know whether or not you are able or permitted to vote in this polling unit. This is a polling unit 002 in the Olushosun area in the St. Michael's Primary School. And you can see just the road across, police officials, you can see DSS, police officers, and elderly, and some of those who are waiting for their turn. And if you see on my right, That's another polling unit, and say all is set in that part of the area. You can see some people who are also selling some snacks over there. But yeah, a lot of activities happen around the polling area because there is not just one thing about voting. It is a process. It is a system that works one way or the other, that when people come into the polling unit, they will be able to exercise their franchise. But in all, one thing that is very critical, INEC is at the center of all of this. But in the end, in the final analysis, the people who have been waiting, the people who left their homes early in the morning, had a shower, and they say they must make their votes count. And we're waiting for the moment where this is happening. And look at the man, this woman, she's very resolute. She's got, despite whatever she's gone through, she's here and wanted to make sure that her votes count. And so you can see, and the elderly are on the queue. There are always a priority given to the elderly. They are here very early. And it does look like we have multiple queues now for them. So they're here, the young and the old and the mid-aged, they're here and they're ready to cast their ballot. We're waiting for the next few minutes. And you see this, the elderly man. How are you, sir? Are you all right, sir?
I'm all right.
You're waiting for your turn?
Yeah.
All right. And you have been accorded the respect of getting a seat?
I'm looking for a person who will help me take my name out there.
Oh, so they're checking your name on the register for you?
Register.
All right.
I'm looking for it.
You've been voting here for some time, for many years?
I've been voting here for the past 10 years.
About 10 years? Oh, wow. You live around this area?
I'm now 86 years of age.
Oh, wow.
86 years of age.
You are 86? 86. Congratulations, 86. Sir. You look good for 86. What is the name, sir?
Ali Sunny Sunday.
Wow. Ali Sunny Sunday. And you're from Ekiti State too, sir?
I'm from this Ekiti.
Wow. Congratulations. You look good for 86.
Well,
fantastic.
That is pretty great to me.
Wow.
I'm grateful.
That's good. That's good. So you have your voter card ready to cast your ballot. Congratulations. And so we're waiting for the minutes where this process will begin. I just want to be up close and right in the front row seat for you to know when this will start. And I know that the officials are prepping. The beavers is ready, right? I'm prepped. Will it go live at 8:30? By 8:30. So, but it won't work until 8:30.
Yes. Until 8:30.
8:30.
Yes.
But it's ready. It's online.
Yes. Fever is online.
Thank you very much. So we will be back in another few minutes to just check whether or not this all will begin at a set time. But this is an interesting process, and this is what you get on watching Channels Television in this process, because we'll try as much as possible to get you close to the people. And you can see I just met an 86-year-old man, Ali Sunday, who has been waiting. He said it's been the last 10 years he's been voting in this particular place. He's sitting there and resolute. You will see people living with disability, elderly, the young, mid-age, all of them are really, really prepped to cast their ballot. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's the part that is exciting. But the worrying, the concerning part is what we do with all this energy, this effort. And I think that it behoves on beneficiaries of all of these efforts to begin to think more deeply in terms of how to ensure that this doesn't go to nothing. If this democracy is going to be sustained, one of the ways to do that is to place a lot of emphasis on this commitment, on this sacrifice, and the things that we see people do to ensure that this democracy is sustained.
Bugala, I mean, I'm so fascinated with some of the side of some of the things I saw there. It's for me, the different kind of people that I have seen who are there, the different ranges, the classes of society of people that are here. It means quite a lot for our democracy.
Yes, it means quite a lot because when you look at that, you see person with disability on wheelchair there, and they're also giving that priority to be there. Then the first, when you look at the first queue, is for the aged people. You know, they just giving that particular queue, and when you look, it's not about the creating a queue for them that really encouraged me. But the number, when you look at the number of those 8 people on the queue, is also very interesting. So I think I'm happy with what I am seeing. My only prayer and expectation is that this same thing is replicated across the 16 local governments, across the 2,445 polling units. That will have been very, very massive. But with what we are seeing here, if we want to take this as a sample, then we are off on a good start.
Yeah, Ezewa, what are the new things that we are supposed to be expecting? The electoral law has been amendment 2026. We have some changes to the law. Are we to expect any new thing? What are your expectations in terms of the changes made to the electoral law?
Well, where that would really come to fall will be in the area of results management. In terms of accreditation, voting, and the pattern is still the same. We are going to see whether we are going to see the real-timeness in quotes of results uploads and the rest of them, and what communication internet will do to all of that. But beyond that, the process is still what it is, broadly speaking manual. But until and when we are able to see what we do with electoral offenders, because those are the new initiatives. The jail term has been increased. The penalties have been increased, broadly speaking. Now you can go for as much as 2 years. You are going to likely even pay up to 5 million naira if you are caught, trying to pervert this process in any way. If you are caught inducing voters, or you yourself are induced and you are caught, those are some of the things. But like you said, this is not an election in which we are seeing EFCC in red, what do they call it, moving all around the place. There seem not to be that energy for that. But in terms of the new law, we are going to see what result management looks like with the new infusions inside the law.
It's going to be interesting how all these comes to play, because a lot of expectations are on INEC. But it's not only INEC, it's the entire gamut of the process, because INEC will be expected to do his own part. But like I asked Ezewa, the new changes, do you think it's going to be fundamental in what we see, the outcome and the conduct of the exercise generally?
Well, I would put that in 2 major perspectives. In terms of the process, I don't think we are going to see any significant change. In terms of the process still looks the same. Though what will have changed the entire process, fortunately, it's not going to happen in this election, and that is the aspect of downloadable PVC to be used, but that is not going to be used in this election, according to INEC. So what it means is that, because that will have been a game changer, that will have meant that we need to see how people that doesn't have their permanent voter's card can go online, download, and then come and use it to vote. But that is not going to happen. So we still have the entire process. However, the impact, again, in terms of process, but let's look at the impact. The major change, things that is going to happen after, the election or after the results is being counted. So that is number one, electoral offenses. That's one. If you are caught, the jail time has been increased and all those stuff. Most especially, we are interested in seeing how the election result management will work.
Apologies to Borin.
We are all excited to see it.
It's 8:30 right now. Let's see how the polls open. This is the very minute we've been waiting for, Ezenwa. Interesting. They've been waiting for 4 years, all their lives, waiting for this moment when the poll will begin. But let's see how these all pans out. This is a moment the people of Ekiti State have been waiting for. And let's see how this will start. It's 8:30, and officially the polls should commence. Let's see how the very first few people that will be attended to. It's breaking news right here on Channel Television. Ekiti governorship election officially opens. Voting officially opens right here at polling unit 001 at the St. Michael's Primary School, and this is polling unit 001, and the registration area is Ado D. Ijibo of Ado Ekiti local government area, and the local government area code is 01. This is particularly typical of what you might be seeing across the state. These are the early videos and images you will see of how the exercise is beginning. Officially, the poll is opening. Breaking news. Ekiti governorship election voting is commencing right here in the state. The opportunity for the people of the state to elect who becomes the next governor for the next 4 years, and the voters are queuing up, waiting for the opportunity to be able to cast their ballot. And we are hoping to see who becomes the very first voter that will be casting his or her ballot right here at these polling units. These are your early images signifying that this exercise has effectively begun. Officials are now going through the process. The Beavers machine is being used to conduct the accreditation, and you have your PVC to be read on the Beavers machine. That is a process of accreditation to identify whether or not the voter is fit to vote in this polling unit, and whether or not the mode of identification, which is a permanent voter card, which is the officially acceptable mode of identification for voting in Nigeria, is being used. And once that is done, you can see the process of doing that. So we want to see how this works, at least give you an idea of the very first few voters who are going through this process. Just gives you what might be going on across the state in the 16 local government areas of Ekiti State. Officially, the exercise has started. Huh? Okay, sorry, is there a delay?
Shortly.
What do you think is delaying?
I think it has not been activated by INEC itself, so that's why the thing is not working.
So is it online or offline?
Offline.
Yes.
It's offline.
So it's not activated yet. So we are hoping that that could be done, and it's affected the other beavers too. The same thing on that on your own device. You are experiencing that same problem?
Yes. You cannot be allowed to continue because you are not within the time frame for the selected active election.
Can you show us what is saying? What does the device say? It's saying, attention, you cannot be allowed to continue because you are not within the time frame for the selected active election. The time set is between 8:30 a.m. Saturday, 20 June and 10 p.m. Saturday, 20 June 2020. Please contact your RA technician if this is not supposed to happen. Are you able to identify the RA technician? I think you need to contact the person. He's not allowing it to start, sir. You are the coordinator, isn't it?
No, I'm the supervisor.
You are the supervisor here. But because it's past 8:30 already, and the device is not aligned there, and it seems to be all of the devices here.
Okay.
But he's saying that they need to contact the RA technician. Where is the person?
Okay, I will check with them. Let me check.
Please, the people are waiting. It's past the time. It's 5 minutes after the official time for this exercise to begin. They seem to be experiencing some technical problems in And it seems to be all of the 3 devices that we're seeing here displaying that error message. And so we will stay with the process, because that is the reason why we are here, to ensure that the people are in the front seat in the decision-making process of the electoral system in our country today. And so I understand now that they're making calls to the RA technician who is supposed to come and resolve whatever the issue may be. Because yes, the people are waiting and hoping that this exercise will commence in earnest. And the supervisor seems to be... Are you able to identify the technicians, sir?
No, there's no problem. The technical support will be here now.
Okay, they will be here. All right. I think it's okay for you to announce to the people that the problem you are experiencing, so that they know. They don't think there is hanky-panky. Don't you think so? It's interesting. These are the sort of things that you will see right here. Technical issue, the people are waiting, the anxiety is in the air, and let's hear.
15 minutes for the machine to come up. 10 to 15 minutes. Within 10 to 15 minutes, everything will return to normal.
Can you please tell them what the problem is so that they will know?
Yes. The beavers, yes. No. The beavers is mandatory.
Okay.
It is the beavers we must use. Without the beavers, no election. Yes.
It has not been activated. Once it's activated, it stands up.
No, the official time is 8:30, but it's about a few minutes after hand. So I've called the RATEC, that's the technical support. They said we should wait for additional 10 to 15 minutes. So be calm.
No problem. All right. Well, that's the information as far as we know and we have right now. There's going to be a lot of anxiety. 10, 15 minutes, that's the time they are being given for them to begin. But it's going to be, it might be a long wait, but it might be worth the process, Mr. Idowu. They're having some technical glitch. The devices are not yet activated by INEC, and so it needs the technician to be able to activate it. I mean, these are the early technical problems that they're experiencing.
I don't think that is good enough because this could also be very discouraging. But at the same time, it doesn't call. This is not something that we should also be worried about. INEC has told us that they also have over 700 backup beavers. That is number one. Number two is that they also have the RATEC, the people they can call, the technician to come and fix this. So what we expect to see is that they activate that SOS now and say, look, this is not working. You need to come and look at it, and it's either they send another person or tell them what to do. And if this can be activated remotely, they need to do that now, because you see the number of people on the queue.
The devices are not working. It has not been unlocked by INEC, and so they've asked people to wait while the technician works on it.
That's expected. There's nothing unusual about that. Yeah, even when we talk about the 8:30, it's not cast on stone. You are dealing with machines. You are dealing with human situations. Like Bukola said, is the responsibility. What is the responsibility? How quickly are you able to respond to the situation? And that's what we are watching out for.
I think so.
We want to see how long it's taking anybody to deal with these situations.
All right. Thank you so much, Ezewan Wagru and Bukola Idowu. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure doing this with both of you. Thank you so much, and I hope that
I'm your captive.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Bukola Jeffrey, that's what we've been monitoring for you. Sadly, we're not able to show you just yet how the polls resume, and hope that it will be important for our viewers to see how the polls will open. And as soon as that is confirmed, maybe we can quickly come back just to experience the start of the process, because the start is very important as much as we know that the end also will be very key. But what we have experienced, some of the breaking news is that the poll officially should have opened at 8:30 a.m. But what we can confirm right here on Channels Television is that technical issue is delaying the exercise from commencing because the Beavers machine are not unlocked just yet. Jeffrey.
Cheryl, great work. Thank you. We'll keep tab with you. And I know it's an all day, literally hours from now, we'll continue to, going back and forth to report as to what's playing out, where you are and everywhere our people are. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you. Great reporting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, so, guys, that's what we're reporting from where our political editor, Sheon Kibale, is covering with the guest he has there. Where that interview took place. Those are members of the civil society organization who are observers of the process. So we can tell you that the Beavers hasn't opened in that particular polling unit, but there are other polling units where we've been in touch with where they have even started voting. Polling unit 003 in Okelele in Ikogosi town, Ekiti West local government area, where the incumbent is meant to vote. Our correspondent there, Tokwe Kuteyi, is reporting that voting has actually commenced. So it's different stroke for different folks, but we'll continue to help you make sense of what is playing out across the state. And just like Sheon said, the process starting is as important as how it ends. But let's come back to our studios. But when joined, because I think you have the next one, being joined in the studio, Abuja studios, I should say, by a security expert who is going to be joining the Lenesik. By the way, Lenesik is here already, who is in our Lagos studio. Lenesik Wahab Shutsi is here, has been speaking with us for a while. Kingsley Uzoma is a security expert, joins us from Abuja studio. Mr. Uzoma, thank you for coming on the program.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
I know your interest is security, and I'm sure you've been watching. Sure. Maybe you have been picking from the visuals we've been transmitting and broadcasting some of the security presence. What's your own general assessment as far as this election is concerned from persons you're speaking with on ground and the things you've seen on television?
Oh yeah, thank you for that. I expect that the election, the process will be one of the best we would have in the history. Reason being that I'm aware that, in fact, the police took as high as a month to conduct a very comprehensive risk assessment in that region, and away from the over 2,500 plus personnel deployed from the MPF alone as the lead security agencies to be assisted by other security agencies. One unique thing is that the DIG who is coordinating the election is a son of the soil in the sense that he's from that geopolitical zone. The AIG assisting him is also from that geopolitical zone. And the CP election, Shogule, is also from there. And these persons, they've been actively involved in the past on election security matters. And the feedback from the we noted based on the threat assessment conducted a few weeks ago and days leading to the election, all the gray area were well mapped and maybe focused, and the police are not just deploying or just deployed personnel. They have tactical access and IT tools. Like the DIG who is coordinating is from the ICT. He's the one overseeing the ICT department of the MPF. So you would notice and you would see that there will be a lot of new fresh inputs and ideas to make sure that there is smooth management of the election security down there.
And we've seen early arrival of materials, at least in some of the local governments, reported so far. And what we're also hearing is some calm, at least in Ekiti, where, our political editor, Sheon Okimbaloye, reported from. It's a calm atmosphere, one of ease, no tension whatsoever. And we've seen, the deployment of security. I cited quite a number of, gray and black colored police officials. And in fact, NSCDC officials as well. Is this, as they say, the morning shows the day? Is this, evidence of what we should expect throughout today as the elections progress?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, even before now, let's use the word Samuela, people had those who are far away from reality on ground thought that maybe there will be some level of insecurity owing to what we've witnessed in neighboring states with regards to abduction, kidnapping, and what have, and certain communities in the same Ekiti state where maybe at a point some of these criminal elements, bandits have registered their footprints. But unfortunately for them, the security agencies lately, they've been equal to the task. Thank you for the operational skills of the Inspector General of Police himself, because I can assure you, he as a person with what I know has done wonderfully well in that area by reactivating the intelligence antenna of the police personnel. They've been effectively deployed that to all the nooks and crannies of Ekiti State. So one shouldn't expect violence, and should anything come up, I'm sure they are equal to the task with the help of the NSCDC, like you said, the DSS and others. And another thing is, okay, now like what was filmed, the technical glitches as being experienced are one of the things that can maybe trigger some kind of maybe people trying to vent their anger. So it's also an opportunity to call on the INEC to make sure that their technical team within a specified time frame, maximum 15 minutes, like I said, that they are able to respond to SOS and solve some of those technical glitches, so it doesn't raise anxieties among the voters.
Let's bring it back to our Lagos studio. Senior advocates, at least we've gotten a feeler from that engagement between Shehu and our guests on the ground, who have been doing their own analysis of what is playing out. But maybe I'll allow you to respond to, one of the things we've already looked at is how the electronic elements will pan out. And for that particular polling unit or that center, we're seeing a bit of a slight challenge because the BVAS is not allowing them to start the process, because BVAS is insisting it's not 8:30 yet, while it's already past 8:30. What do you make of it?
Well, I think what is playing out there it should not be used as a reflection of the general trend. Like you have also said, in other areas sampled, they say the BVAS has been working. I think what is important is for us to see what is the general pattern, and not to look at a few isolated cases. It is clear from what is playing out there that the security agencies are not neutral. I mean, the way they are positioned is the atmosphere generally around the polling unit appears very peaceful, and then you can see the eagerness of the voters to also exercise there's no intimidation around. There's nothing to suggest that the process is about being compromised or subverted. What we have said here is early, so let's wait and see. It is too early to begin to use what has happened now to project into what is likely to be the final outcome. I have a lot of faith in the Ekiti people. I'm happy that the first test of the Electoral Act is taking place in Ekiti. Like Seun reported, and some of us have also attested to, Ekiti people are, credible people generally. And I say this without, it's a state of honor. If you are looking for the average Ekiti man is very honest, and you might say they are stubborn. Some of them can be stubborn, but what is important in terms of core values, there's no way you can fault Ekiti people. So if the Ekiti people get it right today. I will see that as, serving as a good example for other states to emulate. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm particularly very eager to see what is going to play out in Ekiti. Because the average Ekiti man values his honor, values his reputation. He's not somebody that is likely to be easily compromised. So if we are talking of, and the average Ekiti man is not violent, you can see what they want to see, and they abhor cheating, and sharp practices. Generally, I've interacted with a lot of Ekiti people, and that's the impression I have. I'm sure you know that Femi Falana is also from Ekiti. I'm shocked that his name was not mentioned there. These are people who are credible, who are peaceful, and who like to be principled, who are principled generally. So I have high regard for Ekiti people. And I want to see that my optimism about what is going to be the final outcome of this election in terms of compliance and in terms of adherence to core values will come to pass. So in summary, like Bukola mentioned the other time, and like the president earlier said, I think the key thing is for us to invest trust in the process, to invest faith in the process. I believe the Nigerian, the kind of image or the kind of impression being sold out about the Nigerian is not correct. The average Nigerian, and it goes across ethnicities, it goes across tribes and religion and all that, the average Nigerian is very honest. And I think if the system is transparent, if the rules are open, and then there's no manipulation from any quarters, the people are willing to subject themselves to the process. And then what is important again is the element of violence. I didn't see any violence around what is playing out. So I'm very optimistic about the outcome.
And I like your, highlight of the characterization of the Ekiti people,
yes,
their commitment to integrity and honor.
Yes.
We don't know if all of the ad hoc officials and INEC staff in Ekiti conducting the election right now are also of Ekiti extraction, but that honor and integrity is also, what is expected of them,
yes,
as their commitment to electoral integrity in this exercise. But Senior Advocate, I think you should also highlight what would be the expectation from the ad hoc officials conducting this election, particularly, for these areas, for instance, in Ado-Ekiti, where we have seen now that if there is no, if elections do not start on time, that it should be extended or until the last voter has cast his ballot before the exercise is terminated.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree completely with you. You also remember that
in 30 seconds, sir,
the INEC officials have sworn to an oath. It's only the security officials that are not on that oath. And I think that's a lacuna that future legislations or to everybody involved in the process must swear to an oath. And there should be consequences for infractions. And I think the penalty provisions in the Electoral are so stiff, and the ad hoc officials are aware that if they do anything unsavory, there are consequences.
To face the music. We must thank you very much, sir. Mr. Wahab Shitu is a senior advocate of Nigeria who has brought his experience and insights to bear on this conversation.
Thank you. I'm not Mr. I'm Dr. Wahab Shitu.
Dr. Wahab Shitu. And we've also had Mr. Kingsley Uzoma, who joined us from our Abuja studio, security expert. Thank you so much, Mr. Uzoma.
Thanks for having me.
And here's where we drop the anchor, but the process continues, and we have our correspondents in all local government areas in Ekiti State, and so we're bringing you updates as they unfold in today's election, Ekiti Governorship Election 2026. Thank you so much for being there. I am Bukola Kulka.
And don't forget, the process, we're not leaving until the process ends. What I mean, Channels is on ground till the process ends. But we will be excusing ourselves so that the Sunrise team comes take over. And in between all of that, we'll bring you up to speed what's playing out right on the field as the Ekiti people decide 2026. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Enjoy the rest of your day.
On Saturday, June the 20th, Ekiti State stands at another defining moment. Across 16 local government areas, 117 wards, and thousands of polling units, voters will decide who becomes the next governor of the land of honor and integrity. But this election is about more than choosing a leader. It is a test of transparency, a test of accountability, and a glimpse into how Nigeria's elections may be judged ahead of 2027. That is why Channels Television, in collaboration with Yaga Africa, is bringing back ERAD, the election results analysis dashboard, from the first ballot cast to the last vote counted, from voting and security to collation centers and the final declaration. Our reporters will be across Ekiti, delivering comprehensive coverage from every corner of the state. And when results begin to emerge, ERAD will track, analyze, and visualize polling unit results uploaded to INEC's IREF portal, providing citizens with a transparent, data-driven window into the electoral process. One election, one state, one people, and one destination for election night analysis. A robust coverage of the Ekiti Governorship election 2026. Live on Channels Television. Your home for the news.
And a warm welcome to Art House. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Coming up on today's episode of the program,
it's time to